This isn't blood. It's red paint. Yes. A baseball bat. Huh. What is this doing here?
Hello again, Detective. Was there anything else?
That's not blood around the body. It's red paint.
Mr. Santiago would definitely have red paint, but surely he wouldn't have... Would he? This is just terrible, Detective. Was there anything else?
I found the murder weapon.
Oh no. That's the bat from Mr. McKinney's movie. You don't think he could be involved, do you? I can't imagine him ever doing such a thing. Was there anything else?
Over 200 years of life and then oof, gone. Well. If it isn't the long arm of the law. Tell me, are you a devotee of the arts? Does that cruel muse call you to her entrapping bosom?
Art is life. Without it, we are no different than animals.
Perhaps, if all we are is a sentience floating in a suit of flesh, or metal, I suppose, then art is the only true communion with the world. Come with me. Tell me, what does this piece say to you?
It's about composition, the balance of colors and emotions, and the struggle to maintain internal order.
Indeed. This was the last piece I did in a series of portraits of Gilda. Number 1378. Her emotional landscape is superimposed on the portrait. The reality of the subject is distorted as the ego attempts to project itself. This way. Tell me, what does this one say to you?
It's the war. Bombs from every direction, no up or down, the world turned on its head.
Oh, what a very literal interpretation. I asked what he communicated, not what he shapes on the...
It's the war. Bombs from every direction, no...
I suppose in a way it must be. Art shapes the world, and the world shapes art in return. All art must therefore be constantly reborn through the lens of contextual and historic interpretation. It must ascend. And what about this one? And please be honest, for art without honesty is just politics.
It's a metaphor. A young creature grappling with ideas it doesn't possess the capability to understand.
Well, that certainly...
Uh, It's cute, I guess. Some people like that kind of thing.
Yes, it certainly is cute, isn't it? Truth be told, this is my best-selling piece.
Uh,
More than you would imagine. Truth be told, this is my best-selling piece. I did this series under a pseudonym, of course. This series has made more money than any of my serious works. And I did the whole thing as a lark. What does that tell you about the value of art to the common man, huh? My fellow connoisseur of the art, here to see my latest work?
I found red paint at the crime scene. Know anything about that?
No, actually. Ezra borrowed my last gun, and now I can't find it.
It sounds like you've done a lot of paintings of Gilda. Why her?
Our Gilda is a very singular creature, detective. Do you not see the joie de vivre within her? I have never met another who clings to life so tenaciously, who lives so in the moment. I must admit I was quite smitten with her for a time.
You're still in love with Gilda, aren't you?
So what if I am? What business is it of yours? She deserves someone who truly understands her ephemeral beauty, not that broke actor.
Did you have any thoughts about the murder?
The person you should be looking at is Juliana Riggs. That Philistine would not know art from her own excrement. She and Ezra had a rather dramatic fight recently. You could hear her banshee screeches all the way across the hotel.
Maybe later.
Good. I hope my pain... My fellow connoisseur of the art, here to see my latest...
Uh-huh. What were Juliana and Ezra arguing about?
I don't know. I was painting at the time and I was trying to block it out. Though I bet Gilda probably heard them. Maybe you should check with her.
I think you're the murderer. You used Keith's bat to frame him and left a trail of paint so we would find him.
Oh, and what motive would I have to kill our dear Ezra?
You're still in love with Gilda. You wanted Keith out of the picture.
Just like my critics, always willing to paint passion as madness. I see you have made up your mind. I am not going...
You're still in love with Gilda, aren't you?
So what if I am? What business is it of yours? She deserves someone who truly understands her.
Did you have any...
The person you should... She and Ed.
What were Juliana?
I don't know.
Maybe later.
Good. I hope my...
Hello, Mr. Whiskers. Who's a pretty kitty?
Juliana,
Look at
Mr.
this
Whiskers
mess.
died last month. This is Fluffy. Remember?
Oh, of course. Silly me.
Just let me have a look at the neural interface matrix, and I'm sure I can clear that.
No, it's not that. I've just caught another cold. Probably something that got in when they sent her out.
God, not this again. Last month you were convinced you had the measles.
You're not a doctor. What would you even know about it? Besides, I think it may be malaria.
First of all, I am a doctor.
Yes, but not a real doctor. Robotics isn't an actual medical degree.
Secondly, I've told you time and again, you can't get sick inside the suit. It's not physically possible.
I know when I'm getting sick, Bert. Now why don't you just wander off and play in your lab? Mr. Scruffy and I are going to rewrite the will, so he will get everything when I die because horrible Bert didn't believe me.
Oh, God, Juliana.
Have fun,
Whatever.
dear. Hello, Detective. Did you have a question about the heinous murder?
Tell me about yourself.
I'm Juliana Riggs, heiress to the Riggs fortune and wife of Bert Riggs. I'm not sure what else you expected, Detective.
Did you have any thoughts about the murder?
If you ask me, it's one of those actors. Or that horrible painter. Their type is always the cause of violence.
I heard you had a big fight with Ezra a few days ago. Care to explain?
Oh, well, it wasn't that big a deal, really. He wanted more money to pay for repairs on the hotel. I wasn't feeling well that day and lashed out a bit at the poor man. I really should have listened to him more.
What's with all the junk in here?
These are our things. We're just waiting till the war blows over so we can bring them back to the mansion.
Never mind.
Good luck catching the murderer, Detective.
Hello, Detective. Did you need something?
Tell me about yourself.
Oh, well, I'm a scientist. You've probably met my wife, Juliana, already. I'm not sure what else to say, really. Oh, was there something else, Detective?
Tell me about your research.
Well, I was one of the leads on the team that created the first robo-brains, the precursors to our model. Most people don't find it all that interesting, and I'd rather not bore you. Oh, was there something else, Detective?
I'd like to hear more about your research.
Oh, wonderful. No one else here really wants to talk about it. Functionally, this model is more or less the same as the previous versions I worked on, but without the neural inhibitor and the reconditioning. The voice modulator seems to have some minor issues interfacing with the neural matrix, which can add some moodiness. But that's easily solved with regular tune-ups. Oh, was there something else, Detective?
Did you have any thoughts about the murder?
Oh, well, that's not really my field of expertise, but I'm sure there are probably some clues at the crime scene. Oh, was there something else, Detective?
I heard that Juliana and Ezra had an argument a few days before he was found dead. Tell me about that.
Well, I was in my lab at the time, so I didn't hear it. But Juliana has always been rather critical of Mr. Parker. I think she found something in the overseer's office. I wasn't listening when she told me about it. I kind of had my head in my research. I don't know, really. I try to let her handle all the money stuff. Oh, was there something else, Detective?
Have you noticed Juliana acting strangely lately?
Oh, well, that's not really my field of expertise. Oh, was there...
Robo-brains have a voice modulator. Tell me about that.
That's what allows us to recreate our original voice. I've speculated for some time that the issues we had with our recruited subjects Maintaining our original voices helps reinforce... Was there...
Never mind.
Very well. I'll just get back to my work then.
Hello, Detective. How can I help? Did you have questions about the case?
I found your baseball bat at the crime scene. Care to explain how it got there?
Someone is clearly trying to frame me for the murder. It's probably Santiago. You saw him skulking around the crime scene.
What were you and Gilda talking about when I walked in?
Oh, we were just rehearsing a scene. Nothing to worry about.
Never mind.
Okay. Just let me know how I can help.
No such thing as junk, as far as I'm concerned. Everything's got a use. I'd rather die than be stuck in one of these rat holes.
Protect and serve. Protect and serve.
Hello again, Detective. Was there anything else?
Protect and serve.
Got it. Hey,
Yeah,
grab that.
I can do that. You got my attention.
Hey,
What's
over
he
here.
doing?
Progress on construction of the second wing of the vault is completely stalled. Once the premier area of the vault had been completed, funding seems to have been cut off. My supervisors have informed me that they haven't received payment from Mr. Parker, and Vault-Tec won't pay out of pocket to continue construction. I've repeatedly approached Ezra about the finances, but he keeps telling me that Mrs. Riggs hasn't transferred the funds. However, when I asked her, Juliana said that she had just given Ezra extra for the gold paint in the rooms. I've hired an investigator to look for signs of embezzlement in a few weeks. Progress on construction of the second wing of the vault is completely stalled. Once the premier area of the vault had been completed, funding seems to have been cut off.
Sounds like Ezra was embezzling from his investors. I found some evidence that Ezra was embezzling from you and the other investors.
Oh, well, I really don't believe that. Mr. Parker wouldn't do such a thing, I'm sure.
Never mind.
Good luck catching the murder.
My fellow connoisseur of the art, here to see my latest work.
Sealing yourself up in a steel hole to escape the bombs. Sounds like treating one kind of hell to another.
Hello, Detective. How can I help? Did you have questions about the case? Hello, Detective. How can I help? Did you have questions?
Did you have any...
It's obviously Santiago. He keeps going back.
Uh-huh. Never mind.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Hello again, Detective. Was there anything else?
The door to the...
Oh, yes.
Sure.
If the key isn't... Was there anything...
Uh-huh. Never mind.
I'll be here.
My fellow connoisseur of the art, here to...
I think you should explain why you keep returning to the crime scene.
It's for inspiration, Detective. The others do not like to think about it, but even we shall die someday. Like Prometheus's torch, it kindles within me the fire to create as much art as I can with the time that I have.
Never mind.
Hello, Detective. Did you have a question about the heinous murder? Well, now, if it isn't the brave detective. I haven't seen someone with a body like that in far, far too long.
You're not so bad yourself.
You should have seen me before all this. Red hair that was the envy of every girl and legs for days, darling. I'm sure you'd rather hear some of my stories from the silver screen rather than talk about that nasty murder business.
I had some questions to ask.
Sure, darling. What did you need?
Apparently, Juliana had a big argument with Ezra a few days before he died. Did you happen to overhear any of the conversation?
Oh, yes. I haven't seen a woman go off like that since Teresa Dubois fired her costume designer. But to get back to your question, it was fever pitch, Detective. She had apparently gone to the Overseer's office to check on the state of things and found it in horrible disrepair. But, and this is where it gets interesting, it sounded like she found something that really set her off. Couldn't hear what, though. Did you need something else?
I found Keith's baseball bat at the scene of the murder. Any thoughts on how it got there?
I don't know, Detective. I can't really imagine Keith killing Ezra. Did you need something else?
I've gotten the impression you've had an affair with Santiago.
Look, I love Keith, I do. But sometimes he just can't give me the attention I need. A girl gets lonely, Detective. It only lasted a few dozen years. The man's a bit much, even for me. Did you need something else?
What were you and Keith talking about when I came in?
Oh, that? We were rehearsing. Gotta stay sharp if we're going to rebuild Hollywood. But Keith always gets flustered when he's upset. Did you need something else?
Tell me about yourself.
My favorite subject. When this international scuffle blows over, I shall return to the silver screen and lead the world to a new golden age of cinema. Did you need something else?
Did you have any thoughts about the murder?
Well, it is a bit strange how obsessed Santiago has been with the murder. I mean, he's always been a bit obsessive, though. He did a whole series of paintings of me, hundreds, said I was his muse. It was flattering for a while, but the man is a bit much, even for me. Did you need something else?
Never mind.
I'll be around.
Not sure what the point of building this was. Got beaches all over the island. Can I have